Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this channel is all about print on demand everything. So if that is a subject that you are interested in, please hit like and subscribe and stick around. So I know it's early, but people are already working hard on stuff for the holiday season. And so I promised I would show you guys how you can start doing ornaments. And so this is my ornament video. I do realize that it is August, but the sooner you get stuff up, the better, especially if you're selling on Etsy. So I'm going to show you how you can create this ornament right here. This is one of my Etsy listings. So this is one that I'm selling, and it is in our first Christmas as Mr. and Mrs. Ornament. And these are personalized. So when it comes to ornaments, especially selling on Etsy, if you can find ways to make it personalized, that's great. People don't tend to buy the generic ornaments. So even though you could make some really cool Christmassy ornaments, odds are they're not going to sell as well as something that you can find that's going to be personalized. So things like, you know, first Christmas as a married couple, baby's first Christmas with a pet, sometimes memorial ones for pets who have passed, things like that. So there's lots of ways you can go in terms of personalizing things. You can even just do the family ones where you list out the family names. So lots of options for personalizing ornaments. And so I'm going to show you how I did this one and talk a little bit about this. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and we are going to jump over to Canva. So I'm going to design this in Canva here. So because I am designing for an ornament that is a circle, I'm going to go ahead and just design inside of a square frame. And I want to make my pixels as large as possible because that always gives me the best quality. So I'm going to go to custom size. And for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and select 4000 by 4000 pixels. That way I've got a nice big square canvas to work from. And so here it is. I am going to obviously need everything to fit inside a circle. So the easiest thing to do would be to hit C on my keyboard and that will pull up a circle. And so you can pull that circle out and that's where you're going to go ahead and design on. So something like that. Now, because I do want to design for a white ornament, I'm going to go ahead and make the circle white, which means I'm going to have to change that background color. And it doesn't matter what you change the background color to. I'm going to put black for contrast, but you can pick any color you want. That's going to go away. And the only thing we're worried about is this white circle. So that's where we're going to be designing. You should also be aware, I'm going to put another little circle. I'm going to hit C on my keyboard again. A little circle here. When you do an ornament, there is always going to be a cutout, right? Like that for where you hang the ornament. So just be aware when you go design, whatever you have here, there will be a cutout. So try not to get any important elements up here in the top. Now it's okay if you've got a border or something going through the cutout, that's fine. Just make sure that nothing super important is going to go through that area. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you how to create the ornament that I made, and then I'll show you how we put it up and what platforms we use and all of that. So the ornament itself is pretty simple. I did pick a nice little Christmassy wreath to go around the outside. Now you can pick anything you want as a border, and you don't even have to have a border. I just think it adds a little bit more Christmassy stuff to it. But again, you can do any kind of elements you want. But I'm going to go up to Elements, and I'm going to search Christmas wreath. And we're going to go ahead and go to graphics. And so there's tons and tons of Christmas wreaths. What you're looking for with something like this is going to be something very simple and very thin because you don't want it to take up a lot of space on the ornament. So very simple, very thin. And you may have to play with a few. And so you can just start kind of picking them and you can pull them out and see how they look. So for example, that might be a good one there, but it kind of sticks out a little bit more than I'd like in certain places. So maybe I keep looking and see if I can find something a little bit thinner. Here's a cool one. And so this one, it's got some holly stuff and it splits. Oops, sale. And something like this, because it's got that split, I suppose if I wanted to turn it, I could make it so that split is where that hole is going to be. By doing that, I no longer get the hole in the middle of my design. So I could definitely do something like that, and that's going to look pretty cool too. So I do like that one as a good option. If I want to create multiple options, the easiest thing to do would be to make multiple pages. So for this, if I was just going to go here to this little plus mark and hit duplicate page, I can keep this version here, get rid of that, and then keep trying out more things and see what I find that I like. This one's a little dense for what I want. So it's cool. I like the overall shape, but it's a little too dense. I want it to be a little lighter. I'm doing more of an airy, light kind of ornament. And so you can keep looking. Again, there's tons. Take your time. You can come up with lots of different versions if you like. You know, there's nothing that says that you have to do just one. And, you know, tons of things. Here's some Christmas lights. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a wreath the way you think of a wreath. Here's ones that just sort of have the little Christmassy lines. So something like that could also work well as just sort of that little outline. Keep in mind it is going to get cut off right there, but that's okay. So different versions that you can work with. I'm not super fond of that one. Here's another one that's nice and simple. And so any of these would do. And so that's a nice, good, simple one there too. So take your time, pick them out. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and go with this one. This one looks kind of cool. It's dark enough to be seen easily, but it still gives, it's a little bit more airy because it's got all that white stuff, gives a good contrast of color, a couple different greens, some reds. So this one I like. It is going to get cut out right there where that hole is going to be, so just be aware of that. By the way, you don't really want that hole in the design. At the end, you're going to get rid of everything, so I'm just going to pull that off so I don't forget it. Make sure this is centered nicely in my circle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be picking some fonts, okay? So we want something that's going to be easy to read, right? We want it to give a little bit of a Christmassy feel, or maybe a little bit more of an elegant feel. Obviously, you know, this is more of like a simple, elegant kind of a frame, and we're going to go ahead and do a First Christmas as Mr. and Mrs. So we want to keep it sort of simple, elegant, very easy to read, and nothing that's going to be too kind of heavy, I guess is what I'm going to say. So let's go ahead and hit T on our keyboard. That will pull up a text box. And so at the top, and this is going to be one font, I'm going to put just our first, and then the next one is going to say Christmas as, and so this is all going to be sort of one font here, and it's going to go up towards the top there, right? Then I'm going to pull up another text box by hitting T on my keyboard again. I'm going to bring it up here. This one's going to say Mr. I'm going to use the little and sign. There we go, and Mrs. And I realize that the font color right now is white for some reason, so you can't see it. So let me just go ahead and make sure I get that changed to something we can see. There we go. Now I can see it, and we can make that kind of nice and big there too. Something like that. So Mr. and Mrs. Now here we're going to put a name, and it doesn't matter what name because this is where it's going to be personalized. So essentially when somebody orders it, they'll tell you what name they want you to put in here, and then you would come back to this template, just change the name, and then upload the new version. So pretty easy to do. So you can pick anything you want, something that's going to fit well, so don't make it too long or too short. But again, you can do anything that you want. Oh, it made it all light again. So I actually made this ornament here for my friend who's actually going to get married this weekend. So congratulations to her and her husband. And so I'm going to go ahead and use their name here as a tribute to them. So it is going to be Vance. It is going to be Mr. and Mrs. Vance. So congratulations. And I'm going to make that one nice and big there. And then I'm going to pull up one more text box, and because it keeps bugging me, I'm just going to hit Control D, duplicate that, and then just edit that one to 2024. So I'm going to put the year on here. Now you can personalize it farther if you want. You can go ahead and let them select the day and year. So if they want to put their exact wedding date on here, you can, or you can just keep it at 2024 and they can select, you know, their name. So it depends how much you want to make it personalized. There are also ones that will say Mr. and Mrs. and they'll give first and last names for both of them. And so lots of different ways that you can go about personalizing stuff like this and, you know, being as detailed or not as you want. But this one we're just going to do 2024 for now. So now we're going to pick some fonts. Again, we want it to be simple, easy to read. So I kept pretty much the same font for these 3 lines, and only Mr. and Mrs. did I make a different font to kind of make that stand out. So the font I ended up choosing, let's see, it was one called, it's Admirably, I'm going to say it wrong, Admirably, whatever. This one, Display. So we're going to do that one. And I'm going to change all 3 of these lines here to that. And so I did like the way that that looked. And now I'm going to go ahead. We're going to resize some of these. I need the spacing to be a little closer together. So I'm going to go up to the top where it has the up-down spacing. And we're going to bring that line spacing closer together, something like that. And I can bring that down a little bit there. So I've got that there. Vance, which is the last name. Again, we're going to make Vance nice and big. Now, obviously, because people have different lengths of last names, when you do go to personalize it, you're going to obviously have to change probably the size and spacing of the letters. So if you had somebody with a really long name, you're going to have to make it a little bit smaller. If you had somebody with a very short name, you can make it either bigger and or space the letters apart a little bit more. So those are all good options. 2024 here. Let's go ahead, bring that down towards the bottom. So I want to center it, something like that. And then let's go ahead and pick our Mr. and Mrs. font. And so for this one, I went ahead and did a scripty font. This one was like apricot-y. There we go, this one. I can never read the fonts, sorry, but if you guys can read this, then you can see. Otherwise, just play with whatever fonts you want. But I don't know, I can never read them. So here we go. Here is my Mr. and Mrs. right there. And so I'm going to kind of make that sort of centered there. And then I can start playing with some of these sizes if I need to make them a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger, make it fill the page a little bit more. Vance, I think I'm going to need to either make a little bit bigger or maybe come up here and space some of the letters out just a smidge here. And so I can do that and make it a little bit bigger. And so something like that looks pretty cool. There we go. That's my centered. Make sure I got everything nice and centered in the page. There we go. Perfect. And so that is looking pretty cool. I do like that. I might, at this point, give the Mr. and Mrs. a little bit of space, maybe make that one a little bit smaller so I can bring it up a little bit more. And so there we go. So I like it. Now, I just picked, when it came to colors of fonts, I just picked something so it could stand out. So at this point, if you want to change the font colors, we can. I suggest trying to match your border, and because it's going to look good on a white ornament, typically I'm going to do either that dark green or that dark red or a combination of both. And so here's where you can sort of play with it. I just grabbed one of the greens off of the border, which was this dark green here, and that's what all of these are written in. Whoops, there we go. Now it's what all of them are written in. There we go. But again, you could have done anything. I could do like the Mr. and Mrs. there if I wanted to, or I could do the Vance in the red here. And so sort of play with how you think that that is going to look. Actually, I kind of liked the Mr. and Mrs. in the red. Mr. and Mrs. Vance, so something like that. So anyways, you can play with however you want it to be. Once you know you have it the way that you like it, we're going to get rid of this circle in the background. So this circle was just to design on to make sure everything lined up, but we don't want it to be part of our design. So what we need is just to get rid of that. And now we have our design here. I know it's a little bit hard to see on the black background. If you want to, at this point, you can go ahead and make that background white so you can see it stand out. But this is going to be our template. And whenever somebody orders an ornament and they give you whatever last name they want, you're going to go back here and you're going to be editing this part and putting in their last name. And it may be easy for each ornament to just go ahead and duplicate another page. And so then when somebody comes up with another one, let's say Rizzo or something, then you can just have multiple versions. And so you're just going to edit it there like that. And so that's pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and title this page here. I'm going to put Advanced Ornament. There we go. And we are going to be downloading this. I'm going to hit download. I do need it to be a transparent background, and I want it to be a PNG. And we're just going to go ahead and download it just like that. And now there are several different platforms that will sell ornaments, and you can pick whichever ones that you like. Printful has ornaments, Printify has ornaments, PrintKK, those are the three I use, and they have ornaments, and they pretty much all have the same ornament too. So you really can go with whichever one you want. I'm going to go ahead and show you Printify. That's the one most people will probably be familiar with. Okay, so right now I'm on Printify and I'm on the catalog, and so you can see there are just tons and tons of products available. And if you go over to where it says Home and Living, there is a section that says Ornaments, and so you can just click on that and it will pull up the different ornaments. You'll see a lot of these are very similar. So we've got that sort of white circular one. Now some of these are going to be glass, ceramic, metal, and they're going to have different price points depending on what you want. As we start to scroll down, there's some different ones here, some like the wooden ones or the more fancy ones, so lots of different ones, some of the off-shape ones. And then you got to see at the bottom, there's going to be ones that say like they only ship from Canada or whatnot. So you can see there's going to be ones that don't ship to the US or from the US. So I usually try to stick with the ones at the top that are shipping from the US, keep it fast. This one here, this very first one, is the one that I typically use. It's a pretty cheap price point, so the ceramic's going to be cheaper than the glass. It's not as cheap as the metal, but I don't like the metal as much. I think that the ceramic looks better, especially if I'm doing more custom ones. This one, actually, or is it this one? Actually, this is the one I use. See, look, they look pretty much identical, only this will print on one side and this one will print on two sides. So that is why this one's a little bit more expensive, but then I get two-sided printing. So I get the same design front and back. So I tend to like that better than just the front side ones. Put a little heart there. So this is the one I'm going to choose, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It does come in different shapes, by the way. So if we look here, there's different shapes. Circles are the easiest to design for, but you can, of course, try to design for any of these. I do think that the circle looks the best, personally, but if you want to be a little bit different than everybody else, you can try some of those different shapes there as well. But let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and pick Start Designing here. Okay, and so here it's going to give you the outline. So we're going to upload the design we just created. So on the left-hand side here, I can go to Upload. I'm going to select my device, and it's going to pull up your downloads, and then I can go ahead and upload what I just made. Okay, so it should upload your design and just sort of put it right in the middle here. Boom. And so here's where we're going to resize it because I don't want the outside to get cut off. People sometimes ask, oh, well, what size should I use for X, Y, and Z? Most print companies will allow you to resize your image. So with that in mind, always make it bigger so you've got like the optimal amount of pixels. That's going to make it sharper. But then you can always resize it to fit different sizes. So don't worry about exactly what size the circle needs to be because you can make your circle bigger or smaller. And so what I want to do is fill up this space as much as possible. I can center it right there without, going off the edge. And so something like that looks pretty cool. It gives me just a little bit of a rim border around it. And so I like the way that looks. By the way, you can select the shapes here. So right now it's on circle, but if I went to select variants, this is where I could select some of those other shapes. I don't want them, I just want the circle. You can also select background color too. So the default is going to be to have that nice white background, but if you wanted to have a different color background here, you could select any of these and it would print that background color. I'm going to stick with white. I do think white looks best on the ornaments. And if you look at the different personalized ornaments on Etsy, you're going to notice that the more simplistic and the more white ones tend to be the best sellers. So when in doubt, look at what is selling. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and go to preview so you guys can see what the actual ornament's going to look like. And so here it is. And so it is going to show you that sale. I'm going to pull up the context view so you guys can see. And there is your context view there. And so pretty easy. Once you know that's the way you like it, we can go ahead and hit Save Product here. And so here's where you can go ahead and select your mockups. It's just going to download all of these to your store. And once I'm at the store, I'll just delete any duplicates. Pretty much I'm going to want, you know, both of the context ones, maybe the front and back one, and then just the regular front one. And so just like these four, and then everything else is kind of a duplicate. And then of course you can always create your own mock-up as well, and that's pretty easy to do. You can literally just download this one right here and put it on any background you want to create your own mock-up. Go down here, you're going to select your title. And there's all sorts of titles you can use, but if you're making a personalized one, you're going to want to probably use the words personalized ornament. You're going to want to put custom. You're going to want to put First Christmas as, Mr. and Mrs., newlywed, newlywed gift, something like that, wedding gift. So different ways that you can go about using some of those, you know, important keywords in your title. It's already going to give you a description. Now here's where you might want to edit the description a little bit. It says it offers 4 shapes and bundles of 1, 3, 5, and 10 pieces. If you're only offering one shape, you probably don't need it to say offers multiple shapes. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that entire line. And here I'm also going to get rid of this one where it says available in the multiple pieces. People probably just want one, the 4 shapes to choose from. I'm going to get rid of that. And so you can always edit your description here. You can also edit it in Etsy when you get to the Etsy listing page there. Let's see, down here, there's automatically assign a new shipping profile. So I tend to make my customers pay for the shipping. Because the shipping rates are obviously different place to place too, and I don't know where they're going to be buying from, so it's just easier to make them pay the shipping, and that way I don't have to worry about it. And then here's where we pick our pricing. Now because it has 4 quantities listed, this was a little bit confusing. It's got prices listed from $15 to $146. That's like a lot. Okay, so I went ahead and clicked on the quantities, and now we can see the different quantities, and you can select different price points for each of the quantities. I'm not going to sell it in these 3, 5, and 10 quantities. I'm only going to worry about the 1 piece. And so when it downloads this to your Etsy page, you can just turn these off or say that there's no stock in these and just do the 1 piece. And then the 1 piece, it's suggesting to sell it at $15.47. That's the suggested price there. And that is based on a 40% profit margin, where they're saying the profit's going to be $6. Production cost is $7.36. And they're estimating that the Etsy fee is going to be $1.92. Now, and then of course the buyer's paying the shipping cost there. The Etsy fees, though, you got to be aware. I have a video on Etsy pricing, and it goes over the different Etsy fees. And Etsy fees are tricky because there's a lot of different fees. And if they pay the shipping, then there's a shipping like transaction fee or processing fee. But if you give them free shipping, then you don't have that shipping fee, processing fee. Also, if it comes from an offsite ad, there's going to be a marketing fee added in there. So you're never quite sure exactly what the fees are going to be. So you always want to make sure that you got a good enough amount of profit in there so that worst case scenario, you still don't lose any money. So it's suggesting a $15.47. When it comes to pricing, never end it on 47, always end at 99. So if you were going to round up, you could do $15.99, or if you want to give them a good deal, you can go $14.99, which I think is what I did, was $14.99. I can go back to my page. Yeah, there it is. So I'm selling it for $14.99, and they have to pay the shipping, and they enter their name here, and it'll say quantities. Woo. Wow, there's a lot of different quantities they can, or, oh, holy jeez, that goes on forever. Okay, I don't think anybody's going to order 500 of this ornaments, but there you go. And so that's it. Pretty simple there. And so from here, if I was here, I'd put in my price, come down here. I usually click this one right here where it shows in stock variants, and everything else should be sold out. I include everything, and then you hit publish, and it will publish it to your Etsy shop. And from there, you can go onto your Etsy listings and edit that listing however you want. Be sure to include things like personalization. I guess I can show you how I do that too on my Etsy listings. One sec. So this is the listing page for the ornament that I showed you. And so as we go through, you're going to see the title right here. I started with personalized ornament for couples, first Christmas as Mr. and Mrs. Ornament, first Christmas as husband and wife, wedding gifts. So those are sort of the tags I used. I used, again, one of each of these, and of course you can create your own. I didn't bother for this. And then I went ahead and put my Therapy Designs logo on there too. Come down here, I've got my description where I had cut out some of the things about the 4 different shapes. You do have to add, there's a button here that'll put for personalization. You're going to have to add personalization and then put in the instructions, enter the name and date you want. So I gave them, give me your name and then the year that you want. And so that is that. And then as you scroll down, here's where it's offering it in like different collections of pieces. I'm just doing it one at a time. So I went and clicked all of these off so that they're not buying in groups. Not that they can't buy groups, but it would be one individual piece at a time there. Just to keep it simple. Attributes, I went ahead and made sure it was a Christmas ornament. You can be precise. You don't have to fill all of that stuff out. Here are my tags: personalized, couples ornaments, first Christmas, married, husband and wife, Mr. and Mrs., custom, wedding gift, family name, together, first couple gift. So all those different ones. Materials here, if you want to, we could put ceramic. It is a ceramic ornament, so I could have typed that in there too. It's giving the automatic shipping profile here, so that's just automatic. It'll tell them what they're going to spend on shipping. I don't offer any returns because these are obviously custom print-on-demand products. If you have shop selections, you're going to pick your shop section. I have, that's a tongue twister, shop sections for the different holidays. So this one's in Christmas, and then your renewal options. And so that's how you would go ahead and then edit the Etsy listing. And once you are done, you should get something like this. And then it'll tell you when it's going to arrive. So get it by August 13th. So I did order some of these because, as I said, my friend's wedding is coming up this weekend. And so I did go ahead and get a couple of different ornaments for her and her new husband. And so I ordered them. They came very quickly. They turned out very nicely. I can show you this one here. It might look backwards on the screen because I've got my camera turned around. But that is what the ornament looks like. It comes with a little string here to hang it. And so pretty straightforward ornament. Looks nice, came quickly. And so these are an easy thing to sell for the holidays. I do recommend them. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section below. I try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can, and I do read all the comments, and thank you for all of your kind words. I know this video was a little bit longer, but I did want to try to cover everything in as good of detail as I could. I hope you guys are doing really well on your sales. Traditionally for me, August is the slowest month for sales. So of the entire year, August tends to be when my sales slump the most before picking up in Q4. So don't worry if you have a little bit of drop in sales. Of course, this year might be different as it is an election year. So there could be some good election sales going on right now. And I think that's all I wanted to say. I hope you guys are doing well, and I do hope to see you guys again soon. That's it for today's video. If you found that useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.